Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your soul. You are now listening to the Old Paths Podcast, hosted by Brother Reggie Paige.
Peace and blessings, everyone, and welcome back to the Old Paths Podcast. I am your host, Brother Reggie Paige, and before we even begin, please like, subscribe, and comment, and share the knowledge with your folks and kinfolks, and please do not be shy to give a love offering. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Everyone will face discouragement to many degrees at some point in their life. Based on one's upbringing and maturity stage, one may become easily discouraged or more burdensome to be discouraged. Nevertheless, everyone will enter a moment or moments in life where the light of God feels dimmer than the previous trials in the valley of darkness when you were so used to the days when God's candle shined upon thy head. Everyone will go through those moments, and one must not take those moments lightly. Let us discuss some reasons one becomes discouraged, and then we will find the solutions for the discouraged man when we read Booker T's Washington speech at the end. Now, the first reason some may go through discouragements is because they frequently feel misunderstood. That discouraged man may possibly be the black sheep of their community or group. Now, on a side note, many people believe that being a black sheep is a bad thing. However, the black sheep is not the lost sheep that wandered into the valley away from the shepherd. For any sheep, whether it's the black sheep or the white sheep or whatever, could be the lost sheep. The black sheep actually refers to someone different from the rest of the group. The black sheep stands out from the crowd, which allows them to embrace their unique qualities, their passions, their perspectives, right? So this individuality can lead to creativity, innovation, and personal fulfillment. However, people sometimes tend to fear or express negative feelings about things or people that may be vastly different from them or their group. Sometimes that can lead to the crowd treating the black sheep as the runt of the litter. Now, the black sheep are usually seen as either contrarians or rebellious because they tend to challenge the status quo. I know for myself that I have been labeled as a contrarian because I challenge the status quo all the time, and it's not on purpose. It's just because the way I see things. For example, I don't support the Republican Party like some of my loved ones, and that has caused awkwardly, just really I don't understand why it caused tension. But in other cases, because I practice biblical Christianity and left behind the Catholic faith and the worldly traditions of my blood family, that also has caused much tension with them that still lasts today with me. Nonetheless, the black sheep questions the norms, right? The black sheep can challenge outdated traditions and sometimes to bring about positive change. Their different viewpoints can spark thought-provoking discussions and lead to better solutions because they tend to be outsiders by force of the flock and can see things from a more expansive view. But let me stop chasing this rabbit and save this topic for next week because this deserves its own video. But going back to the point, those who feel misunderstood by their loved ones can go through harsh discouragement. In the book of Job, Job's friends kept kicking him down because they could not understand why Job, whom they viewed as a strong man of God, could say certain things that a man of God ought not to say, such as cursing his own birth. But they couldn't understand in simple phrases because they were too prideful to put away their own reasonings instead of just putting themselves in Job's shoes and taking the actual needed time to understand Job's feelings. Like Job, sadly, when a man is constantly being misunderstood, especially by close friends and family, it becomes harrowing and vexing to the soul. One can feel alone when surrounded by people who feel like they just don't get you. To add sprinkles on top, when one frequently feels misunderstood, it can start to impact one's self-esteem and make one question their own perspectives and experiences. And slowly they start to lose themselves because they begin to doubt themselves and who they are and who God designed them to be. Now, the second reason some will fall into discouragement is when they feel unappreciated. When someone feels unappreciated, it often stems from a sense of being undervalued. They may feel their efforts, their contributions, or even themselves should be recognized or acknowledged. Of course, there are many ways to show appreciation to someone. Some people like to hear praise. Some feel appreciated through acts of service, others by spending quality time with them. I know for myself, the way I feel appreciated is when people spend time with me. Others, they like receiving gifts. Some people, they like the physical touch. And all those ways can be ways of showing appreciation. Now, for example, you may have a son who feels appreciated when you spend quality time with them. Now, if you refuse or neglect to spend that quality time with them, there can be, and most likely will be, harmful consequences. Feeling unappreciated can have adverse effects on self-esteem, motivations, and relationships. It can lead to resentment, withdrawal, and even conflict. Now, a third reason why some become discouraged in life is because they feel lonely. When it comes to loneliness, we have to understand that there is a difference between physically being alone and feeling alone mentally and sometimes spiritually. Many of us have felt alone, even in a room full of people. Some have felt that feeling of random melancholy, isolation, emptiness, and just that yearning for connection. Those feelings can easily lead to negative self-talk, questioning one's self-worth, and just sometimes feeling invisible. And those feelings can lead to a lack of motivation, but difficulty enjoying activities, and also just increased stress. This disconnection from the world can range from brief moments to chronic and intensely isolating loneliness. Many things can trigger this feeling, such as life-changing moves like moving or the loss of a loved one or a relationship, whether it be a family, church, friends, or romantic relationship, breaking apart. And I know this may trigger some folks, but some people do have mental health conditions like anxiety or depression that may stem from some traumatic experience. And then, of course, some simply do not have the opportunities to connect with others because maybe they work too much. A lack of proper resources is another reason for one to become discouraged. Though some may use this reason as an excuse, feeling discouraged because of a lack of resources is entirely understandable. It can be frustrating and demotivating when you have a goal or a dream, but the things you need to achieve it seems out of reach. For example, if a man wants to start his own business, but he may need more funding or time to go all in, that can cause discouragement. In the same scenario, what if the man doesn't have a healthy support system like friends, family, or even the church family to encourage and support him in starting his own business? The lack of a support system could seriously discourage that man from wanting to start his own business. A long list of things can provoke feelings of discouragement in someone. But I gave you this list with no solution because many of us often genuinely downplay the discouraged man. Many people who think they're encouraging the downtrodden man are nothing but miserable comforters like Job's friends who are too prideful to see how much more they were discouraging Job with their words. We can often downplay their feelings, and I have seen this in both the worldly circles and Christian circles where miserable comforters would say something to the discouraged man like, "You're just not having enough faith in God," or something like that, right? Which may or may not be accurate. However, you genuinely don't know that. To avoid being miserable comforters, we should not take someone's moment of discouragement lightly. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 11 states this, "Wherefore comfort yourselves together, and edify one another, even as also ye do." It is paramount to ease that discouraged person. We do that by acknowledging their feelings and trying to understand where they are mentally and spiritually. You will not go far nor help by saying things such as, what's wrong with you? Cheer up. Or, it ain't that bad, compared to me, ... right? Give them your full attention. Be patient with them and let them speak without interruption if they are lamenting to you. If you get confused or need clarification on what they're saying, don't guess. Ask clarifying questions if it requires to understand their perspective better. For us Christians, if we're supposed to be like Christ, are we not supposed to be an emotional supporter in the dark times like him? When you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, did not God call to remembrance of your strengths and past successes? Did not God offer words of encouragement from his word, aka the Bible, and tell you to arise and eat? Your journey is too great for thee. You can also offer practical support to the discouraged man. Is it going to be a pain to see if there is any concrete ways for you to help them deal with the situation that caused their discouragement? I know that for myself, as I've been going through some discouraging trials, I know that one of my brothers in Christ, shout out to Brother Nate, he offered to help me research solutions to hurdle over certain obstacles that I need help with, that has immediately encouraged me. Another thing that happened was my sister, she's actually coming into town to spend time with me simply because she just wants to be there for me, right? She says, you know what, you need a hug, and I'm buying a plane ticket and coming to see you, right? If any of you are listening and have a discouraged loved one, console and encourage them. Don't be miserable comforters. And let me add this again. This does not excuse the discouraged man from ruining his life forever, but it is a part of the human experience to go through moments of feeling discouraged. And that's okay, because during those dark times in your life, you shall come forth as gold, yea, fine gold, only if you trust in God and allow him to lead you through the valley of the shadow of death. But again, the hard times still has to come for you to come forth out as gold, yea, fine gold. Let us transition to Booker T. Washington, where he advises those discouraged people themselves. Folks and kinfolks, heed to Booker T. Washington's speech, don't be discouraged. Last Sunday evening, I spoke to you for a few minutes regarding the importance of determining to do the right thing in every phase of your school life. There are a few things that enter into the student's life which, in a very large degree, cause the untrue to fall by the wayside and which prevent students from doing their very best. Among these things is the disposition to grow discouraged. Very many people, very many students who would go through school credibility, graduating with honors, have failed to succeed because they became discouraged. Now, there are a number of things in school life that cause a student to become discouraged, and I am going to try to enumerate a few of them, although I do not know that I shall mention nearly all of them. Students frequently become discouraged on account of their industrial work. It is not of the character that they wanted to be, or they do not get assigned to the trade they want to work at. Still, others become discouraged because of their classroom studies. They find that their studies are difficult, that their lessons are too long and their memories too short. They find that they cannot understand the teacher, or they find that the teacher does not understand them. Some become discouraged because they think that they are entirely misunderstood, are misunderstood by their classmates and by their teachers. They think that their efforts in the classrooms and in the shop are not properly appreciated. Others become discouraged because they feel that they are without friends. It seems to them that other students have friends on every hand who are encouraging them, who send them money, who supply them with clothing, and that they themselves have no such friends. You become discouraged for such reasons as these. You feel that your highest and best efforts are not appreciated. This tends to discourage you. There are not a few of you who get discouraged because you feel that you belong to a despised race, that for a long time you have been trampled upon because of your color and because of certain peculiar characteristics, that you have been neglected or oppressed, and that there is no reason why you should make an effort to go forward, that you belong to a race that is doomed to a disappointment, to stay under, and to not succeed. Some of you become discouraged and despondent because of poverty. Perhaps here I strike the basis of the reason for most of the discouragement. You come here and your parents disappoint you. They do not supply you with money. You become discouraged because they do not supply you with proper clothing or with what you think you ought to have, and very often with such as you really ought to have, and that disheartens you. You find that other students have money and you have none. They have money not only for the necessities of school life, but for some of the luxuries, while you have not enough for even the bare necessities. Other students spend more than supplied with clothing, while you are very scantily supplied. You shiver, in many cases, by reason of the cold. While others are comfortable and nicely dressed, sometimes you are even ashamed to show yourself in public because of the appearance of the old coat or trousers or shoes that you have to wear. Some of you become discouraged because you find yourselves without the proper books. Some of you cannot get the money needed to purchase books, a toothbrush, and other necessary things. You find yourselves cramped and hampered on every hand. You are discouraged at this point and at that point, and you feel that nobody's lot is as hard as your own. You become discouraged, you become dissatisfied, and you feel like giving up. Now, I want to suggest to you tonight that this very thing of discouragement as an element in life is for a purpose. I do not believe that any element of your lives is put into them without a purpose. I believe that every effort that we are obliged to make to overcome obstacles will give us strength, will give us a confidence in ourselves that nothing else can give us. I would 10 times rather see you having a hard struggle to elevate yourselves, having a hard time either at work on the farm or on the buildings or in the shops, without money, without clothes, than to see you here having too much money and having everything that you want come to you without any effort on your part. You are blessed as compared with some people. The man or woman who has money without having had to work for it, who has all the comforts of life without effort, and who saves his own soul and perhaps the soul of somebody else, such an individual is rare, very rare indeed. Now, it is not a curse to be situated as some of you are, and if you will make up your minds that you are going to overcome the obstacles and the difficulties by which you are surrounded, you will find that in every effort you make to overcome these difficulties, you are growing in strength and confidence. Make up your minds that you are not going to allow anything to discourage you. Make up your minds that poor lessons, scoldings on the part of your teachers, want of money, want of books, that none of these shall discourage you. Make up your mind that in spite of race and color, in spite of the obstacles that surround you, and in spite of everything, you are going to succeed in your school life and you are going to prepare yourselves for usefulness hereafter. Every person who has grown to any degree of usefulness, every person who has grown to distinction, almost without exceptions, has been a person who has risen by overcoming obstacles, by removing difficulties, by resolving that when he met discouragements, he would not give up. Make up your minds that you are going to overcome every discouragement and that you are not going to let any discouragement overcome you. Those of you who have been inclined to moody and morose, or have been inclined to feel that the world is against you, that there is no use for you to try to elevate yourselves, make up your minds that your future is just as bright as that of anybody else. Do this, and you will find that you have it in your own power to make your future bright or gloomy, just as you desire. And hey, That's just a low-down gospel truth. Thank you for joining me. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do like, comment, and subscribe, and share the knowledge with your folks and kinfolks. And again, please do a love offering because, hey, the more money I am able to receive from y'all, I'm able to do this more full-time like I would like. But nonetheless, don't be discouraged. Encourage yourself in the Lord. And remember, the truth shall make you free. May the God of all knowledge have mercy and grace upon you all. Peace.